podcast with Martin Grunburg. It's time to take control of your life. Are you ready to achieve goals faster and more consistently than ever before? You need the Habit Factor. You're listening to Habits to Goals, the podcast that helps you create the habits that lead to success. And here is Martin Grunburg.
Alrighty, here we go. Thank you so much for joining me. My name is Martin Grunburg. You have reached Habits to Goals, which is the only podcast that is consistently reminding you, of course, based on the ideas in the Habit Factor, that when you align and craft intentionally habits to your goals, you achieve them more quickly. The analogy we like to use is putting the wind at our back or sailing, and it's called running with the wind. Rather than working from a to-do list, focus on core recurring behaviors that support your goal. When you hit subscribe right now, you will get your Mind Bullet Monday, your Wednesday interview, and your Frequently Asked Friday. So enough of the open. Today's Mind Bullet is a doozy. It's one we could probably spend 10 hours on and not scratch the surface. It's about the self-concept or self-construction or I just want to give you a few other terms that are thrown around here. Self-construction, self-identity, self-perspective, self-structure. These are the collection of beliefs that you have about yourself. And you may be saying, yes, I know this, or you may be saying, okay, maybe interesting. Why do I care? Well, the reason I think you should care is because the psychology begins to tell us that we tend to match our self-concept in a thing, whatever it is. And so all of us are carrying around, there's major categories of self-concept, and then there's subcategories like within that. So for instance, you may think your self-concept is you're a great athlete. And then within that, you're good at ping pong, or you're good at soccer, or you're good at basketball, or you're good at karate. But all of these begin to relate back to ourselves, our own beliefs about ourselves, and then they in turn influence and impact our effort and our performance. So some people think they're not a good reader, or maybe they're not a good speaker, or maybe they're not a good learner or student. And what's fascinating is we quickly build and develop walls. We construct. That's why we used that term earlier, self-construction. We construct these bounds, and then we get settled into them, and then if we're not careful, we allow that to define us. So we say, I'm not a good student. I'm not a good reader. Whatever it is, our self-concept is malleable. This is the key, one of the key ideas, because who constructed the idea that you're not a good reader? And you're probably saying, well, it's true. I'm not a good reader. Fantastic. It's a skill. Like any other skill, it can get strengthened over time. I've mentioned this guy on the show a few times. At some point, hopefully we interview him. Kwik had brain damage. He couldn't read. he could have settled with this idea that I'm not a good reader. Or he challenged himself. He found a way to become not just proficient, but a phenomenal reader, and then a memory expert using the same techniques. So he used his self-concept, certainly went outside that. In other words, perhaps his self-concept was, I'm going to battle through this. I'm creative. I'm resourceful. This isn't going to hold me down or slow me down. So he turns a weakness to a strength. So the funny thing about self-concepts, you can find them in your language. I'm the type of person who blank. You know, I'm the type of person who fill it in, panics under stress or performs well under stress. And by the way, who's constructing that self-limiter? Again, the key idea is figuring out where you think you have put up these barriers, these limits on your self-concept. Some people think, I'm the type of person who could never have, 12% body fat. Is that reality, or is that some constructed self-concept? I mean, literally, you could think, well, that's my body type. It's self-constructed. All of this is malleable. I can't learn quickly. I can't remember things. So this guy, Jim Kwik, not only did he learn to read quick, which is crazy, that's his name, he then teaches these techniques, turning a weakness to a strength. I guess could have easily said, I'm just the type of guy that can't achieve his goals after having struggled for so long getting started and fizzling and not being able to see why momentum would be lost. It would only take about a month, and I couldn't seem to do the things I wanted to do. But somewhere deep down, I guess I have a resourceful self-concept. I love this idea that I will, given the limited resources, hence resourcefulness, find a way to put those sticks and glue together to make, whatever it is, the shoe. So the resourcefulness, I think, ended up paying off when I realized that habit was the pathway to goal achievement. And it had I don't want to say very little, had less to do with a to-do list and a lot more about core recurring behaviors, habits. So I don't want to get off track. The idea is, if you think you're not resourceful or creative, these are just self-concepts. These are constructs that you have built. Maybe for this episode, I will build a little template if we have time. If not, I'm reminded we have the new Habit XP Planner. Remember, all life is an experiment. The more experiments you make, the better. The Habit XP Planner has great tools and resources in it that can help you draw and strengthen your self-concept. So that's it. I just want you to assess your self-concept, identify where maybe it's weak, realize you can write the new story. You can work on the new story by crafting new habits that support this new self-image. It's all a skill in a way. Remember, habit and skill are twins. They're fraternal twins. The experts can't even tell you what the difference is. So viewing any weakness as just a skill you can develop. You can develop any habit. You can develop any skill. It takes longer for some people than others, absolutely. But it's all there. And if your self-concept is, I'm not the type of person that gets up early, what are the chances you're going to wake up early? I like the ultimate self-concept is the self-concept that says I can write my program. I can become anything I want because I choose what self-concept I want to craft. So I think it was when we had Hal Elrod on, he was talking about the miracle morning, and his big challenge was, even though he was reading that a morning ritual was critical, he's like, well, I'm not a morning person. Now, somewhere along the way, that conflicted with his aspiration, his desire to be successful, and he realized that self-concept was a limiter, and so he rewrote it. He changed it. So you're the type of person who, what are your self-concepts? Identify your limiting self-concepts and circle one that you can work on. Maybe it's, I'm not a great public speaker. Maybe it's, I can't read fast or I can't learn. I mean, maybe it's, I'm not a good dancer. I'm not musical. I mean, you could go down. For every skill, there's a self-concept. All right, now I'm done. I said we could have spent 10 hours. The key idea is you have the power to craft the self-concept. And you will. Good job. Go get them. See you on the next episode. Hey, really quick, I just want to remind you, if you want to grab your habits and goals tracking template, the template that started it all, you can get that really quickly. Just text me at 33444 and simply text the word habits. That is habits, HABITS, to 33444, and you will get the tracking template immediately. All right. Thank you so much for listening to the show. Thanks for dropping a quick review. It'll take you less than 30 seconds if you're getting value. And with that, I will see you on the next Mind Bullet Monday. I'm out.